Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our show where we talk all things entrepreneurship. I myself, Carson Hurley, am the host where we talk all about my experience teaching infinite banking, teaching people how to buy and get into real estate, and what that means for young people in today's world. And today, I want to talk with somebody who I met recently, actually, at an event out in Utah. It was a great event led by a team of other entrepreneurs and business owners. And we had a meeting for a whole day talking about how we can improve as business owners. And I got a lot of advice that weekend actually from myself on how I can build a better community, have more, meat and meaningful, I guess the word would be, pillars in my social media and what I'm teaching. It was a fantastic event. And we also did something pretty fun. We went and rode cars and raced around the track all morning, which is pretty sweet. And that's where I met Mr. Isaiah Renner. He was this big old guy, looked jacked. He had a big smile on his face talking to everybody there. He's networking, and I'm like, who is this guy? He's like my age. Like this guy must be pretty cool. So we ended up talking for a little bit and became friends. And right now, it was to my surprise. I thought he was doing different things, being a part of the community we were with in real estate, most people, but he actually started a really cool cold plunge company, which is awesome in today's world where everyone's talking about it. And all the different studies are being done around the health side of how important cold plunging is. And we got to talk about it for a little bit, but I want to talk today, really about with him what what it means to be a young entrepreneur, what it means to work hard in today's world, and to not have instant gratification, but push for things in the future. Another cool thing about Mr. Renner is he's married. Not many young people in their 20s are getting married anymore, and I thought that was really beautiful to see because I am as well. And so we connected on there as well. But today I want to introduce Mr. Isaiah and ask him a few questions. Isaiah, how you doing?
I'm good, Carson. You're too kind. I appreciate the intro there.
You should have wore a tighter shirt, man. We can't all see how jacked you are.
I was trying to hide it. It's fall. I'm in bulk season. I was on a thick cut when you met me, so I was looking real good.
That's awesome. Good man. Well, yeah, you're up in Utah. It's getting cold, it sounds like. So what really led you to move to Utah? I know you moved there recently.
Yeah, so I'm from Montana, born and raised for 23 years. I went to college at Montana State, and Montana's a small community. You're everybody says you're one connection away from knowing everyone in the state, which is true. There's only a million people there. So I love that aspect of it, but I also wanted to get out of that community. Um, and my in-laws live in Utah. And so we decided, let's make the move. Let's go to a bigger city, still be close to family. And yeah, it's opened up a lot of cool opportunities, especially with entrepreneurship and different groups like you talked about, Carson. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, and it sounded like as well. I mean, I know a lot of people in Utah too. In Utah, especially Salt Lake Valley, there's a ton of businesses starting up there right now. There are so many entrepreneurs there and really good connections to start building. Have you seen that already being there for a couple months?
I mean, it was almost instantaneous. We moved here the end of April of this year, and I kind of started my cold plunge business just to see if it would catch fire. And it immediately did. People were very interested. And then I actually started connecting with other entrepreneurs in that space
Mm,
and health and wellness.
wow.
Um, I've been connected with a couple real estate guys here too. But the doors have just been wide open, and I've just kind of been running, meeting a bunch of people. It's been a great experience. Utah has a great environment if you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you get the snow in the mountains coming up this next couple months. You'll have a lot of fun there too. So that's fantastic. And so, what led you to your entrepreneurship journey? What made you want to be an entrepreneur? Sounds like you went to college. You kind of went down the traditional route a little bit, right?
Yeah, no, I did. My family, I didn't grow up in a family of entrepreneurs at all. The most entrepreneurial person in my entire lineage is my grandfather, who's a farmer. And so, in my traditional sense, I didn't consider that as entrepreneurship, but it really is.
Yeah.
He's his own boss, But so my parents influenced me, go to school, study hard. I was an easy A student for a long time. I was very blessed. Went to college, kind of got my butt kicked in school a little bit. What those A's turned into B's, and if I wasn't careful, they slipped into C's. But I still passed. I got an engineering degree from Montana State, and
Cool.
then after I graduated, I got a job, and that really opened my eyes. I was like, wow, the government is taking half of my money, and I, I'm doing all this hard work, making this guy a ton of money, and I'm getting a very small sliver of it. And I was like, maybe there's got to be something else out there. And so I started looking into real estate opportunities, investing. That's how I got connected with sovereign entrepreneurs and CFT with Ryan and those guys, which has been great to meet them. But after that, I actually went back to school for a program that was innovation and management, and it was
Wow.
entrepreneurship ship based. Kind of a life changing 1 year graduate program we went through, intensive, and that really opened my eyes to. I met some really high level people, like I met the CFO of Airbnb,
Wow.
and he had a conversation with us, just explaining how he was just this small town kid, grew up in a town of a
Wow.
thousand people, and so just meeting those people really opened my eyes, and that's when I was like, okay, I want to do something more than just go work for somebody else. I want to do something more than just sit at my desk and be an engineer for 35 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And I think a lot of people our age feel that way, but I don't think a lot of people are acting on it. Would you agree?
yeah, I would agree. I think fear gets in the way, um,
Yeah.
and doubts, and especially with how our phones and social media work today, we can see those successful people, and it just seems like such a far leap to get to where they're at. Um, but all those people started from zero.
Yeah.
Most of them, didn't have any background, or they might have had someone who was kind of influencing them, but they didn't have that entrepreneurial spirit until they started. Like you really got to in order to feel that.
And entrepreneurship's not for everybody, like it's hard. There are days when I'm like, yeah, it'd be much easier to just go work somewhere and not do this, not deal with this problem. Like it's hard. And so not everyone's built for that. Not everyone wants to do that. And that's okay too. I don't want everyone being an entrepreneur, but there are a lot of people who do want to do that. There's a lot of entrepreneurial minded people. There's a lot of people with passions they want to share, and they just don't know how to contain that and do it. And like you said, with social media and everything, I mean, we all want instant gratification, like we talk about. And it makes it very difficult to sit down, think long term, and just work hard, put our head down. Like it's so difficult to do that nowadays, especially when you're seeing other people, like you said, it's a big jump to get to. And so I think that's a great point. So being an entrepreneur now, what have you seen like as your biggest struggles to start? What was the hardest part?
At the beginning, you kind of get that entrepreneurial bug where you're just so excited.
Yeah.
Like my first sale, I was like, I did this. I didn't earn a paycheck from anybody. I did this, right? And I was so excited. And that's really what fueled my journey for the first probably 90 days. And I was
Mhm.
just sales were flying off the shelf. I was excited. People were happy. And then I
Yep.
hit my first customer complaint. And I hit
Oh,
right. And then you hit those hurdles, you hit those hills, those mountains. And that's when I had those thoughts of doubt, like, oh, maybe I can't do this. It would be easier to just continue being an engineer. Why am I doing this? I think every entrepreneur has those doubts. And I
yeah.
saw a quote recently from a guy who's talking about how just you have those intrusive thoughts that come into your mind as an entrepreneur. Everybody has those. It's not just a you thing. Everybody has those. And that made me feel a lot better, like, okay, I can beat these thoughts. This isn't just, my own self-doubt.
Yeah. And if I remember right, when we met back in the summer, you were still working both jobs, right? You were starting the business and had a job. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, I actually am. So my wife
Yep.
and I, when you and I met, we were closing on a house.
Yeah.
And we ended up thankfully we closed on the house. We love it. Um, but my W-2 job does provide more security right now. And
Well,
my
no,
wife,
yeah, no, go for it,
my
go for it.
no, my wife is she's very adamant on me not quitting my W-2 job and getting settled a little bit more. Which she's very smart for that because I would have just jumped ship.
Yeah, no, I love it. No, and I didn't bring that up to bash on that at all. I think that's awesome. I think that's the transition most young people should do. Like what you're doing right now is what's going to provide stability, so you don't have the headaches and you have something to fall back on. Uh, but it allows you to follow what you're trying to accomplish, follow the passion, and build something. And then once that something is taking up enough time and bringing in enough money to stop doing the other job, fantastic. Or even if you're almost there, then it's ready to, time to take the leap and jump off, go be an entrepreneur full time and quit. But having both scenarios is what most people need and most people do to start. So I think that's fantastic. You're doing so. I thought that was funny. Should bring it up. So no, it's good. But I do want to ask as well because you mentioned it. Your wife wants you to keep working because it provides a stability. But uh, do you feel like she's on track with you and the entrepreneurial mindset, or is it hard to bring her with you?
You know, my wife is very supportive, which I'm super thankful for. She grew up in a very traditional family financially. Her mom and her dad both work in the medical field. And so a paycheck is safe. You need to put as much money away as you can. You need to, they're not into like interesting investments, anything like that. It's like put it in your 401k. And so that's her mindset. That's how she grew up. Being an entrepreneur scares her, I think, but she likes the benefits of me having more time. She likes the benefits of me being able to work hard and see those fruits, earn more money for my efforts, things like that. Um, I think I just have to prove it to her a little bit more with a few more paychecks, a few more a few more
Yeah.
customer sales. So
Yeah, it's fun. So let's get into the cold plunging business. You're in the health and wellness business. How'd you get into that? Why are you interested in that space? What led you there?
yeah, so I lived in Arizona for a very short stint, and I'm a Montana boy, which is I like the cold, and Arizona is very hot.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I did some research, and I was like, how am I going to cool down? So I found cold plunges. I had a friend who was using cold plunges for mental clarity, things like that, and I was like, okay. And so I did my own DIY cold plunge, and I loved it. I used it for 6 to 8 months, and then I had to sell it because we moved from Arizona. And then I transitioned
Mm,
to Utah, and I was like, huh, maybe I could, maybe people are interested if I sell these. And so I put up a few ads in my old plunge, and I said, custom cold plunges, um, if anyone's interested, type of thing, on Facebook Marketplace. And within like 2 days, I think I had a couple hundred messages like, hey, I want one of
no way.
these.
No
Yeah,
way.
I'm super interested. And those convert from 200, they convert down to like 10 to 15% sales. But I sold quite a few cold plunges for compared to what I
Uh,
thought I would. Um,
uh,
and so, yeah, I just started building like my specific brand, how I like them to look. And it just kind of took off this summer. I had fun with it, got scared when customers got upset, you know, learned a lot from that, fixed some things, and now I'm in the stage where I'm starting to do some more R&D, market a little bit better, and kind of develop the business um, to be more than just a Facebook marketplace.
yeah, yeah. So I saw your website as well. Everything looks really legit and it looks really awesome. So I'm excited for you. Are you
Yeah, thank
shipping
you.
countrywide, worldwide, or where you doing work from?
Yeah, so initially I was just doing local stuff, and then I got a client who wanted one in California, Southern California, and I was like, all right, this will be my first shipment. This was in August, and the shipment went great. Everything was successful. We were able to do it. Cold plunges are a large item, so the expense I thought was going to be a lot, but we were able to do it affordably and get it to them safely. So we are officially now shipping to the lower 48 states.
Wow, I love it. That's awesome. That's really cool. And I know you're starting this business now and it's been a little bit, but what does the future hold for you? What do you think next year is going to be?
Um, so I haven't told anybody this, but my passwords, um, not my passwords, but like what I believe in and like words I write down. I have like 1 mil 2025 for certain things that I'm for my business, and I just that's
So
what I
you're
want. I want to
saying
get
if I
to a
was to go
million
over to
dollars
your
where I'm at.
house, you're saying if I went over to your house, I could log into anything 1 mil 2025.
No, not that. It's more of like
Yeah, I get what you're
notes and
saying.
things
It's
like
like,
that. Yeah,
yeah, that's really
but it's
cool.
so it's like I don't know. Positive affirmations and writing things down has made a huge difference in my life. And so that's my goal. And I don't know. It's doable. I've ran the numbers, and I'm like, if we market well this year and get a legit site and everything going, um, I think we can do it. So
That'd be fantastic. That would be awesome. That's really, really cool. I think that number, I mean, to me, I feel the same way. I'd love to be making that a year, a million a year. I think is a great goal. But I think that number scares a lot of young people because they don't even understand how much money that is. They don't think they know you can make that. I was
yeah,
talking to my wife, and when we first met, and I was super, super ambitious, like, hey, I want to make X amount per year, X amount per month as we're married. And we're going through our finances, and she's like, okay, like thinking that's a crazy number. And we hit it, and she's like, oh, this is like, yeah, you didn't even work that hard for that. How can we do it more? Let's double it. And I'm like, yeah, see, like now
yeah,
you get it. But it's like you don't living in just a traditional household, you don't think about those things being possible. The first time my wife rode in a private plane, she didn't understand that was something people did and could afford. You didn't have to be making $1 billion to have to fly in a private plane once in a while. I mean, it's more achievable than people think it is. And so I appreciate your example because you're doing it. Like you're working hard and you're in your business trying to get to that goal and you're gonna get it sooner than later. And it's gonna be fun to watch. And then others are gonna want to follow you and do the same thing. So that's why I want to interview other people like you, and because this is fantastic. I love what you're doing. I know there are a lot of young people who watch this and are part of my community. What words of advice do you think you would give to someone starting a business?
so I'm just gonna copy some advice my mentor gave me, which is
Yeah.
he's just super helpful. I was when I first started this cold plunge business, I was like, am I doing the right thing? It feels good, but also I have doubts, things like that. Um, First off, he told me to read a book called Ready, Fire, Aim, which is a great way to look at entrepreneurship instead of getting yourself into a lot of debt with setting things up, marketing, things like that. You go out and sell the product first. You understand what people want. Um, and then he told me to just build a community. That's the biggest thing. Find people who are like-minded, entrepreneurial, and who build you up. And you'll be amazed at the progress you can make in 1 year's time, 6 months. It's exponential when you have those people behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what is that book called? They talk about synergy. 1+1 = 3, not
Mm-hmm.
two. Two. Yeah. There's something that comes with being together and being around other people. And they, other words like your net worth or is your network, so things like that. It's like, yeah, who you're around is going to be what comes of your future. Because like when we just talked about younger people who have a traditional mindset, they're around other people with traditional mindsets, so they don't see things being possible. But if you're around a bunch of entrepreneurial minded people making money, your life changes. You see things that they're doing on a casual basis that you're like, oh, I didn't know that was possible. And
Mm-hmm.
so, to your point, your group is very, very important, and that's why we're here to build a community of young entrepreneurs because we all have the same battles, we all have the same challenges, and we all want to do this together. We're the next generation of leading our nation and the world even. And so our communities need us to be different. They need us to be hardworking, and they need us to bring the light to other people and show others what's possible. Again, not everybody has to be an entrepreneur, but there's something that comes with that I think is beautiful. So um, I have a couple more questions for you, but I wanted to ask you if you had any questions for me. You want to ask anything fun or boring even? I don't know.
No, Carson, you are a very interesting person, and I have so many questions. Like this podcast could go on forever. We met briefly. We talked kind of some surface level stuff. We didn't go super in depth. I am inspired by your real estate, and I'm just curious. Like, I didn't hear your story, how you got into it, and what drives you to do that.
Um, I don't want to bore my viewers who have heard this before, so I'll be brief, but I I think the shortest answer would be I have been so fortunate with the people I've been surrounded by and the things I've learned at such a young age. I'm 22 years old and I've met with over 3,000 families across the country about how money works. And I understand how the average household thinks about money, what they do with their money, where they put it. I've met with and have multiple mentors that have taught me what asset classes are important to invest in, how to be in real estate, why real estate makes sense, how life insurance can play a factor in that. I've been around a lot of amazing and smart individuals, and I love when I learn something new. I hop on the phone with my buddy, and I'm like, "Hey, guess what? I just learned X, Y, and Z about whatever investing, real estate, whatever it is, business ownership." And I love sharing what I'm learning with other people, and they're like, "Whoa, how'd you learn that? Where'd you get that from? Like, that's so genius! Like, how can I do what you're doing?" Like, I I just love sharing what I've been able to learn at a young age. And so because of that, that's where I feel like my journey's taking me is I want to show other young people what's possible because there's so much possible. And there's so much you can do with money once you make it that I think a lot of people don't understand. To me, I think having your biggest three assets are your business, number one, and then whole life insurance, and then real estate. Three things you don't usually tie together and not often talked about, and young people don't understand. But in my opinion, these three things are a game changer to building wealth. And that's the only three things I invest my time and money into is those three things. And so I really want to work hard at building a business and growing my brand and then using it to go buy and invest and buy assets and build something serious and show other young people how to do it too. And that's why I'm here with you today to talk about things we're both doing to find success and happiness and follow our passions and just continue to grow because we have so much time to grow. Like we can make mistakes now. We can have fun. We don't have to be all business. We can go and experience life and do it all. And so it's so fun to be a young entrepreneur too. And so that being said, I mean, does that answer your question too? Does that all make sense?
No, that was perfect. I'm glad you clarified some things, and it's really cool that you had people surrounding you from a young age. Because a lot of people, like you said, they just don't have those people who think differently, have that entrepreneurial mindset, understanding of money. You're super blessed. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people look down upon people with money. And I think a lot of people also um, who do have funds or success in their life tend to not share it. They keep it for themselves. And so those two stigmas I think are terrible things for our society to think about. And if we can change those two things, I think that would be a good thing for our community and our generation, that understanding that money is just a tool. How can we go and provide enough value to our community to bring in more money to then have more time with our families and build something fun? And so if we can show other people how to do that, why wouldn't we? You know? So I love it. Well, I want to end with another couple questions for you. But my last one that I think is a big one about your business, at least, is where do you see? Well, actually, no. I'll find your question first. When are you guys having kids?
Not yet. That's my answer, Carson. That's my answer to everybody. Not yet. Um, we're we're finally at a stage where we're slowing down. We were in college, not a good time to have kids in my mind.
Yeah.
And we bought a house, and I don't know. The conversation we've thought about it.
Oh,
But
okay. So
we
maybe
we
next year when we hop on together, you'll have a little one with you.
maybe you never know. We have two fur babies right now, so they're definitely our kids.
That's funny. That's good. No, I want more people like you around here. So go have 20 kids. I don't care. More of you is better. I mean,
You too, Carson.
I, yeah, I'd rather have, if we're, if good people should have kids. That's what I think. So, I love it. That's funny. Well, uh, my last question for you is, how do you want to build a legacy for your family? Random question. I don't know if you thought about this. It's a deeper question. So you can be as deep or as surface level as you want.
No, I actually, it's funny you ask. I went to a whole class one day on this, like legacy building, and it's very interesting because at our age, it's you don't necessarily think about that as much. Most
Yeah.
people our age don't, right? Um, Building a legacy of like to my kids, I want to instill their passions. I want to, help them find their passions and just to seek those out as much as they can. I think our society sometimes, let's if you're very passionate about art or sports or music, sometimes those are hobbies. Those aren't something that you can pursue full heartedly. And I want to give my kids the best chance to pursue their passions to the best of their abilities.
I
Um,
love it.
and
Yeah.
that comes with some financial freedom and
Mm.
um, some time on my part to be able to spend with my kids. So that's my goal is to be at a point when I have kids to be able to spend a lot of time with them
Yeah.
and create great humans.
I love it. No, it's nothing more you could ask. I love it. That's great. Well, we'll finish up here, but do you have any other thoughts you wanted to share today about your business, what you're doing, entrepreneurship?
Um, we covered quite a bit. I appreciate you having me on today. Entrepreneurship is a wild roller coaster, and it's exciting and scary, and it's it's worth it. If you have the
Mhm.
bug, it's worth it. That's
You
all
know,
I'll say.
two or a few months ago, I was on a phone call with somebody, and and he was 27 years old, and he said, "In 2.5 years, I'm going to be 30, and I have nothing to show for it." He said, "The next 10 years of my life are going to be different. This is going to be the age of change for me." So I want to end with that. All my followers and people listening to this, when is your age of change? When can you start taking an advantage and control over your life? If you want an entrepreneurial minded group and community to be a part of, you support what we're doing, follow us, reach out to us, let us know how we can help you in your journeys. And if you are interested to learn about money, real estate, investing, life insurance, like I mentioned, I'd love to have a conversation with you. If you are interested in cold plunges, I will give you Isaiah's phone number, his email. He'll reach out to you personally. He will get you set up with a brand new state of the art cold plunge. So we're very grateful for you guys listening. Have a great rest of your week and come back next time.